Hello students, welcome to Science Learning Gateway. Today we will start class 9 Science NCERT chapter number 2 is matter around us pure. This chapter is from chemistry and we have already uploaded the first chapter that is also from the chemistry section. Okay, so this is also from chemistry and we'll start this chapter today. Matter. What do you understand by the word matter? Matter is anything which has mass and occupies space. So in this chapter, basically we'll read the matter which is present around us, which is present in our surrounding. Is that pure? When you go to the market to buy milk, curd, butter, spices, mineral water, etc., you can see the word written pure on the packets of those food material. Does that mean that those substances are pure? According to the scientists, what does the word pure means? Pure means that it should be composed of one kind of substance, a single type of substances which should have the same chemical composition. For example, if we'll talk about milk is actually a mixture of water, fat, proteins, etc. But people used to say that this milk is pure. We can't say that the milk is pure because it is a mixture, not a pure substance. Okay, so let's start with the chapter. First of all, the definition of matter. What is matter? Anything which occupies space and has mass is called matter. Matter is divided into how many categories? Two categories, pure substance and mixture. So what is pure substance? It consists of only one type of particles. Means it is made up of only one type of substance which are same in their chemical nature. Next is mixture. Mixture consists of two or more than two types of substances or particles. For example, your lemon water. In lemon water, what do we add? Water, sugar, lemon juice. So what is it? It is a mixture. First of all, we'll start with mixture. What is mixture? Mixture consists of more than one kind of pure substances which can be separated by physical method. Example is soft drink. There are two types of mixture, homogeneous and heterogeneous mixture. Homo means what? Same, and hetero means different. So what is the definition of homogeneous mixture? A mixture is said to be homogeneous if it has a uniform composition throughout. Okay, it is said to be homogeneous if it has a uniform composition throughout. For example, sugar in water and salt in water. Suppose you take one glass of water. In that, if you add sugar or salt, and you will take with the help of spoon, if you will mix that sugar or salt, you can't see the sugar particles or the salt particles in the water. Why? Because the sugar particles and the salt particles are completely mixed in that water. Means that type of mixture is which type of mixture? Homogeneous, in which the composition is uniform throughout. We cannot see the mixture, different types of component in that mixture. Next one is heterogeneous mixture. A mixture is said to be heterogeneous if it does not have a uniform composition throughout. Just opposite, it does not have a uniform composition throughout. Example, oil and water. Suppose you take a glass of water. In that, if you add 1 spoon of oil will float on the surface of the water. You can easily identify the layer of oil and the water in that glass. That type of mixture is which type of mixture? Heterogeneous mixture. If you mix salt and sulfur in a plate or in a container, with the help of the size and with the help of the color, you can easily identify the salt and the sulfur. So this type of mixture is called heterogeneous mixture. Now our next topic is solution. What is solution? A solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more than two substances. You have to remember the word homogeneous, very important for this definition. A solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more than two substances. Example, lemonade, soda water. Okay, these are the examples of solution. Solution has two components, means it is made up of two parts, solute and solvent. Now we'll see the definition of solute and solvent. Generally, solute is present in small quantity and solvent is present in large quantity. Okay, so what is solute? First of all, we'll discuss the definition of solvent. The component of the solution that dissolves the other component in it and usually present in large amount is called the solvent. Means the solvent is that substance which can dissolve the other substance in it and it is present in large amount. For example, sugar and water. We used to take 1 glass of water and that we used to add 2 or 3 spoons of sugar. So which is solvent in that case? Water is the solvent and sugar is the solute in that case. And the definition of solute is the component of the solution that is dissolved in the solvent and it is present in small amount is called solute. Okay, solute is that substance which is dissolved in solvent. and present in small amount. Now we'll see the properties of solution. What are the different properties of solution? A solution is a homogeneous mixture. You have to remember the word homogeneous in that. Okay, next one. The particles of solution are smaller than 1 nanometer in diameter, which cannot be seen by the naked eyes. Means the substances or the particles which are present in solution are so small that we cannot see them by our naked eyes. The third one is they do not scatter a beam of light passing through the solution. That is, they don't show Tyndall effect. When you pass a beam of light through a solution, what will happen? The solution will not scatter the beam of light through it. It will not allow the beam of light to pass through it. So it will not show Tyndall effect. So the path of light is not visible in a solution. What is Tyndall effect? The scattering of beam of light is called Tyndall effect. This is very important topic. Okay, Tyndall effect. Fourth point is the solute particles cannot be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration. The solute particles which are present in a solution, we cannot separate them by the help of filtration method. The solution is stable and solute particles do not settle down when left undisturbed. Means the solution is very stable in nature. The solute particles which are present in the solution, if we will keep the solution for some time also, then also the solute particle will not be settled down at the bottom. Okay. For example, your sugar and water solution, if you will keep that solution for some time, also sugar particles will not settle. Why? Because that solution is a stable solution. It will not settle down. The solid particles will not settle down. Next is concentration of a solution. Concentration means the amount of solute present in a particular amount of solution is called your concentration. So in that topic we will study saturated solution, unsaturated solution and solubility. First one is saturated solution. When no more amount of solute can be dissolved in a solution, it is called a saturated solution. Suppose if you take a glass of water, in that if you keep on adding sugar, you can add the sugar to a particular limit. Suppose 9 to 10 spoons of sugar you have added. After that, no more sugar can be dissolved in that solution. So that type of solution is called saturated solution. The solution in which no more amount of solute can be dissolved at a particular temperature. Next is unsaturated solution. When more amount of solute can be dissolved in a solution at a given temperature, it is called unsaturated solution. In that we can add whatever amount of solute we want to add. Okay, where we can add more amount of solute in a solution. Next is solubility. The amount of solute present in the saturated solution at a given temperature is called its solubility. Means the particular amount of solute which can be present in a saturated solution is called its solubility. So these were the concentrations, different types of concentration. Now we'll discuss the definition of concentration and the methods of expressing it. The concentration of a solution is the amount of solute present in a given amount of solution. What is concentration? Amount of solute present in a given amount of solution, or the amount of solute dissolved in a given mass or volume of solvent. It depends on the amount of solute and amount of solution, or the mass of solute and the solvent. The concentration of solution is equal to amount of solute divided by amount of solvent, or amount of solute divided by amount of solvent. Okay. There are two methods of expressing concentration of solution. First one is mass by mass percentage of a solution. If mass of solute and mass of solution you can express it by mass percentage. Mass of solute divided by mass of solution into 100. Next one is mass by volume. Mass of solute divided by volume of solution into 100. These are the two methods of expressing concentration of a solution. Our next topic is suspension. What is suspension? A suspension is a heterogeneous mixture of in which the solute particles do not dissolve but remain suspended throughout the bulk of the medium. Okay. So what is suspension? A suspension is a heterogeneous mixture. You have to remember the word heterogeneous mixture in suspension, in which the solute particle will not dissolve in the suspension. It will remain in the bulk of the medium. For example, if you add chalk powder in water, the chalk powder will not dissolve completely in the water. It will remain in the bulk of the medium. Okay, that type of solution is called suspension. Smoke in air. In air also we can see the smoke. When any factories are releasing any smoke or pollution level, we can see that smoke in the air, the gases. Okay, so these are the examples of suspension. Now we'll discuss the properties of suspension. For the first property of suspension is a heterogeneous mixture. You have to remember the word heterogeneous in that. The particles of suspension can be seen by the naked eyes. Okay, we can easily see the particles of the suspension with our eyes. For example, we can see the chalk particles in the air, smoke in chalk particle in the water, smoke in the air. The particles of suspension scatter a beam of light passing through it. If we'll apply a beam of light through the suspension, what will happen? It will scatter the beam of light, means the path is visible. It shows Tyndall effect. Okay, you have to remember it shows Tyndall effect. It is unstable. The solid particles settle down when a suspension is left undisturbed. For example, the chalk in water solution. If we leave the solution for some time, the chalk particles will settle down at the bottom. So suspension is an unstable type of mixture. Our next topic is colloidal solution. Okay, so what is colloidal solution? Colloidal solution is a heterogeneous mixture. Again, which type of mixture it is? Heterogeneous mixture in which the size of particles are too small to be seen by the naked eyes. Okay, colloidal solution is a heterogeneous mixture in which the size of the particle is very small, which we cannot see by our naked eyes. Example, milk. In milk, so many things are present, so many substances are present, but we cannot see them with the help of our eyes. Colloidal particles can scatter a beam of light. Okay, means it will show which effect? Tyndall effect. The scattering of beam of light is called Tyndall effect. You have to remember the definition of Tyndall effect. The scattering of beam of light is called Tyndall effect. Now we'll discuss the properties of colloids. What are the different properties of colloids? A colloid is a heterogeneous mixture. You have to remember that one. Second one, the size of the particle is very small, which we cannot see by our naked eye. Third one, colloids are big enough to scatter beam of light passing through it and makes its path visible. Means it will show which effect? Tyndall effect. Fourth is they do not settle down when left undisturbed. That is, colloid is quite stable. Means the colloidal particle will not settle at the bottom of the container. It is a stable solution. Colloidal particles can be separated by centrifugation. Means by which technique you can separate the colloidal particles? Centrifugation. This is a process by which we can separate the components of milk also. Okay, so this is the method of separating the colloidal particles. Now we'll look at this table. Some common examples of colloids are given over here. Dispersed phase is one of the column. Dispersing medium, second is the type, and fourth one is the example. First one, if the dispersed phase is liquid and dispersing medium is gas, then which type of colloid is formed? Aerosol. Examples of aerosols are fog, clouds, mist. Second one is if solid is a dispersed phase and dispersing medium is gas, then which type of colloid is formed? Aerosol. Examples is smoke, automobile exhaust. Third one is gas in liquid. Which type of colloid? Foam. Example, shaving cream. Next is liquid. If it will mix, it will form emulsion. Example, milk, face cream. Solid in liquid, then sol, milk of magnesia and mud. Gas in solid, foam, rubber, sponge, pumice. Next is liquid in solid, gel. Examples are jelly, cheese, butter. Last one is solid and solid. Solid will combine to form solid, sol. Examples are colored gemstones, milky glasses. You have to remember this table. In the exam, questions are asked. Give an example, give two examples of emulsion, then what you'll write? Milk and face cream. Give examples of sol, then what you'll write? Milk of magnesia and mud. Like this, you have to remember this table. Our next topic is separating the components of mixture. How we can separate the components of mixture? That is our next topic. Different components, different methods of separation are used to get individual component of a mixture. Heterogeneous mixture can be separated into their respective constituent by simple physical method like hand picking, sieving, filtration. But homogeneous mixture we cannot separate by physical method. Why? Because we cannot see the particles in the homogeneous mixture. But in heterogeneous mixture we can easily identify the particles. So we can separate them by simple physical method like hand picking, sieving, filtration, etc. Okay. Now we'll discuss this topic, obtaining colored components dye from blue black ink. Okay, this is the our one of the activity. Process of evaporation is used to obtain colored component from blue black ink. Which type of process is used? Evaporation process. The process of evaporation is used to separate a substance which is dissolved in water. Okay, by evaporation process we can separate two substances which are dissolved in the water. Means water will evaporate and the substance will left in the container. It is based on the fact that liquid vaporizes easily than the solids. Okay, we all know that liquid is more it will be easily vaporized than the solids. Helps in separating volatile substances from non-volatile substances. The process of evaporation, it is very helpful in separating volatile components from the non-volatile substances. Now we'll look at the steps for separating the components from blue black ink. First one is fill half of the beaker with water and cover it with a watch glass. Like in this diagram you can see we have to take one beaker and we have to fill half of it with the help of water and we have to cover it with the help of a watch glass. Okay. After that what you have to do? Put few drops of ink on the watch glass. In this watch glass you can see we have to put few drops of ink in that. Now start heating the beaker. We do not want to heat ink directly. We will see that evaporation of ink is taking place from the watch glass. Now through this burner we will heat the beaker. If the water inside the beaker will be heated, what will happen? The ink will also get heated. Okay, we do not have to heat the ink directly. After that what we'll do? Continue heating as the evaporation goes on and stop heating when you do not see any further change in watch glass. What we have to do? We have to continue heating this burner, this watch glass, till the water is getting evaporated, and as soon as when no changes can be observed, that time we have to stop heating. At this activity what we can conclude, the water which is present in this ink get evaporated and the blue colored ink or the black colored ink which is left in the watch glass is left behind. Like this we can separate the two components, in which one component should be dissolved in water. Our next topic is separation of cream from milk. You all know in milk so many creams are present. How we can separate that cream from milk? By the process of centrifugation we can separate that. Okay, we can separate the cream from milk by the process of centrifugation. Okay, see. The process of centrifugation is used to separate cream from milk. The principle of centrifugation, what is the principle of centrifugation? Is that denser particles are forced to the bottom and the lighter particles stay at the top when spun rapidly. Okay, the principle of centrifugation is that the denser particles are forced to the bottom. Means then this denser particle, heavy particles will go to the bottom and the lighter particles stay at the top, and the lighter particles will be at the top when spun rapidly. When we'll move the solution, when we'll apply force to the solution, the denser particle will settle at the bottom and the lighter particle will go to the top. This is the principle of centrifugation. What are the applications of centrifugation? First one is it is used in diagnostic laboratories for blood and urine tests. In which laboratories? Diagnostic laboratories, for doing the testing and all, for blood and urine tests. Second is used in the dairies and homes to separate butter from cream. It is also used in dairies and home to separate butter from the cream. Next is used in washing machine to squeeze out the water from the wet cloths. In the washing machine you can see in the dryer section that we used to dry the clothes by using, in the dryer section, by the water is squeezed out from the cloths. Okay, so these are the applications of centrifugation. Next one is separation of two immiscible liquids. Immiscible liquids means which are not completely mixed. Okay, so how we can separate two immiscible liquids? Two immiscible liquids can be separated by using funnel. Okay, funnel you can see in the laboratory. The principle is that immiscible liquids separate out in layers depending on their densities. Okay, depending on the densities we can separate the two liquids by using the funnel. Application: to separate mixture of oil and water. As you know, oil and water will not be mixed together. So we can separate that oil and water by using the funnel. Okay. Next is in the extraction of iron from its ore. The lighter slag is removed from the top by this method to leave the molten iron at the bottom in the furnace during the extraction of iron. Okay, when iron is extracted from ore, what happened? The lighter slag, the lighter part is moved to the top of that fractionating column and the molten iron is left in the furnace. By that we can separate them by using the funnel. Next topic is our sublimation. What is sublimation? Sublimation is a process in which solid is converted into gaseous state, or gaseous state can be converted into solid state. Okay. Sublimation is used to separate mixture that contains a sublimable volatile components from a non-sublimable impurity. It is a process by which we can separate mixture which contains sublimable volatile component and a non-sublimable impurity. Okay, sublimation is a process in which the substance changes directly from solid to gaseous state or vice versa. Means from gaseous state to solid state also it can change on heating. Examples of sublimable substances are ammonium chloride, camphor, naphthalene, anthracene. Okay, suppose this is our watch glass. In that we have kept some ammonium chloride and we are heating this ammonium chloride, and we have put one funnel also. At the top we have closed the mouth of this funnel with the help of a cotton plug. Okay, when we'll heat this ammonium chloride, what will happen? The solid ammonium chloride will change into vapors. We can see the vapors of ammonium chloride. Means no liquid water droplets can be seen over here. It is changing directly from solid to gaseous state. Our next topic is chromatography. What is chromatography? In that it is a techniques to separate the colors. Okay, chromatography is a technique or process to separate the colors in a given substance. It is used to separate those solutes which dissolve in the same solvent. Okay, it is used for separation of colors. Generally it is used for separation of colors. The colors which are more soluble in water rises faster, and in this way the colors get separated. The color which is more soluble in water, which can be dissolved in water, is rises faster. It will come to the top and we can separate the colors easily by this method. What are the applications of chromatography? First is it is used in the colors to separate colors in a dye. Second one, pigments from natural colors. We can separate the pigments from natural colors also. And third is we can separate the drugs from the blood. Sometimes people are using the drugs and that drugs goes and dissolve in the blood, and we can separate that drug from the blood with the help of this chromatography technique. Next is distillation. Distillation is also one of the process to separate the components of a mixture. It is used for separation of two miscible liquids. Miscible liquids means which will get completely mixed together, that boil without decomposition. Okay, that will boil without decomposition means it will not break down and have sufficient differences in their boiling points. If two liquids which are miscible and which have difference in their boiling points can be separated by using distillation technique. This is a diagram of distillation, apparatus for distillation. Okay. Next is our fractional distillation. What is fractional distillation? Fractional distillation is used to separate a mixture of two or more miscible liquids for which difference in boiling point is less than 25 Kelvin. It is also used for separating miscible liquid, but in this one the boiling point difference should be less than 25 Kelvin. Examples what we can separate by fractional distillation: different gases are separated from air. As you know, air is a mixture of different gases which can be separated by which method? Fractional distillation. Different fractions from petroleum product. Petroleum products can also be separated by using fractional distillation. Sometimes question is asked how air can be separated from its components. You have to name the process. What process you will write for that? Fractional distillation. Today we'll do till this topic only. Rest of the topic we'll cover in the part 2 of this same chapter. This is the part 1 of this chapter. In part 2 we'll cover the rest of the topics. So whatever we have read today, go through these topics once and write the notes from here. All the notes are covered from your NCERT textbook so that it can be helpful for you during your exams. And after reading the chapter, if you have any doubt, you can ask me by commenting in the comment box so that I can clear your doubts. Thank you for watching my channel. Please like and subscribe my channel. And if this is useful for you, please share this video with your friends. Our next video will be the part 2 of the same chapter. The rest of the topics we'll cover in that chapter. Thank you.